Madbhavam, my spiritual position, Vinnam, separation, Atmana, from the Supreme Soul, from that, Samsara, material, conditional life, Etasya, all the living entity, Deha, from one body, Deha, another body, Mrite, from one death, Mriti, another death. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. When a living entity, thinking himself different from me, forgets his spiritual identity of qualitative oneness with me in eternity, knowledge and bliss, his material conditional life begins. In other words, instead of identifying his interest with mine, he becomes interested in his bodily expansions like his wife, children, and material possessions. In this way, by the influence of his actions, one body comes from another, and after one death, another death takes place. Purple. Generally, the Mayavadi philosophers or persons influenced by Mayavadi philosophers think themselves as good as the Supreme Personality of God. This is the cause of their conditional life. As stated by the Vaishnava poet Jagadananda Pandit in his Prema Vivarta, Krishna Bahimukha Hanya Boga Vanchakare Nikatasta Maya Tara Japati Adaya. As soon as a living entity forgets his constitutional position and endeavors to become one with the Supreme, his conditional life begins. The conception that the Supreme Brahman and the living entity are equal not only in quality but also in quantity is the cause of conditional life. If one forgets the difference between the Supreme Lord and the living entity, his conditional life begins. Conditional life means giving up one body to accept another and undergoing death to accept death again. The Mayavadi philosophers teaches the philosophy of Tattvam Asi, saying, "You are the same as God." He forgets that Tattvam Asi applies in terms of the marginal position of the living entity, who is like sunshine. There is heat and light in the sun, and there is heat and light in the sunshine, and thus they are qualitatively one. But one should not forget that the sunshine rests on the sun. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Brahmano hi pratishtaham, I am the original source of Brahman. The sunshine is important because of the presence of the sun globe. It is not that the sun globe is important because of the all-pervasiveness of the sunshine. Forgetfulness and misunderstanding of this fact is called Maya. Because of forgetfulness of one's constitutional position and that of the Supreme Lord, one comes into Maya or Samsara, conditional life. In this regard, Madhacharya says, Sarva vinam paratmanam vismaram sansaretiha abhinam sansmaranyati tamam nasti aprasanshaya. When one thinks that the living entity is not different in all respects from the Supreme Lord, there is no doubt that he is in ignorance. Tama. Yat etat vismitan pumso madbhavan binnam atmana tata sansara etasya dehat deho mriter niti. When a living entity, thinking himself different from me, forgets his spiritual identity of qualitative oneness with me, in eternity, knowledge and bliss, his material conditional life begins. In other words, instead of identifying his interest with mine, he becomes interested in his bodily expansions, like his wife, children, and material possessions. In this way, by the influence of his actions, one body comes from another, and after one death, another death takes Anchakapadevudescha
Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha.
Jai Shri
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare.
I also forgot to say in both the Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So when I was asked to give class, I was just in my mind thinking, I would like to speak something about this in Mayavad. And then I just read the purport and it's just about this. Because in my case, I try to understand my conditioning. You know, how I am conditioned, how I am, what is my fault, and what is wrong, what is it that I'm thinking wrong, or all this. I have some desires. So I like to read what Srila Prabhupada especially writes here in the purport. How it says that as soon as a living entity forgets his constitutional position and endeavors to become one with the Supreme, his conditional life begins. So we're conditioned souls. We're conditioned souls in the material world. So we're all endeavors to become one with the Supreme. So this contamination is quite subtle, and I'm thinking a lot of all the fear there is there. Let's say you try to become one with the Supreme, and that's very stupid. It's like Madhvacharya, Srila Prabhupada calls Madhvacharya. It's no doubt that one is in ignorance. So it's very stupid actually to try to become one with the Supreme, and it's very also painful when other people who wants to admit that in this world, that you're foolish and ignorant. So if other people laugh at you, other people devotees they can even they can also laugh at you, and it's like it's good when they laugh a little bit. They laugh of your conditioning, your anartha, you want to be something great, and they laugh. It's like a good friend, laughing at you, but it's still but then we can take it, because it's devotees they are like friends. So there are also in the material world there are books like how to cure the shame that binds you, because it's a shame, we want to become one with the Lord, we want to take His position, and it's everybody around us should laugh, how stupid you are, It's like, and I heard the Indians, or not the Indians, but the American Indians. I just read when I was young, I read books about these Indians, and they had this tradition when somebody did something stupid, they didn't chastise, but they laughed, because then the person was cured from this. It's very painful when others laugh at you, but that's actually it doesn't. But that's more. I think it's a more loving way to do it than chastisement. But it must laugh at another. Must laugh with love, And I also see my daughter. I remember, especially when she was small, always saying that, "Oh, ikke le av meg." She she said. Don't laugh at me. I think everyone in this material world has this, we have this weird condition. So this idea to become one with the Supreme is it's very deep rooted in our heart, and all the conditioned souls, they have this problem. So we must understand this philosophy. Therefore, Prabhupada, he mentions it's all on the whole again. It's just not Mayavadis. It's just not somebody in India somewhere. You know? It's a mentality. Generally, the Mayavadi philosophers or persons influenced by Mayavadi philosophers think themselves as good as the Supreme Personality of God. So this philosophy helps us, therefore, regularly read Srila Prabhupada's books. We can understand that actually there is something wrong in me, and try to engage in devotional service and understand, what is it that it means to be, a devotee. When am I properly engaged? Because when we're polluted by this impersonalism, we think that I'm pure. I am Krishna conscious when I'm one. You see, because we think when I feel that I'm one with God, then I'm Krishna conscious. And if we have this understanding, we don't. It's very difficult to engage in devotional service because so many things will cut off this, that you're not one, and then we become bewildered, and then if we're not really faithful, we might start to avoid situations which makes us not feel that we're one, Krishna. And when somebody disturbs our ego, we will avoid that situation because we don't feel that we're one with God. So this, so therefore we cannot trust even our feelings, because we're so contaminated, we're polluted by this impersonalism, this idea of becoming one. So we have to question ourselves. Is it my false? Is it my false ego? I'm acting on false ego, or is it just? Is it real? Do I have to act on this? Does it have anything to do with Krishna consciousness? So this is. I have just my personal reflections. I reflected on this. That I see that this tendency to avoid circumstances that takes you out of your mind. So it said in the verse, it said that material conditional life begins when the living entity forgets his spiritual identity of qualitative oneness with me, with Krishna in eternity, knowledge and bliss. When he forgets that, when we think we are different from Krishna, our material condition, our life begins. And immediately, in the verse also it's mentioned, we stop identifying with the interest of the Lord, and we become interested in bodily expansion, like a wife, children, and material possessions. And that is what everyone is basically doing, and this is the very bewildering feature of this material world: wife, children, and material possessions. So Krishna consciousness is very powerful. When I came to Krishna consciousness, before I became a devotee, one thing was scaring me very much, and after I became a devotee, another thing scared me. So before I became a devotee, I was very afraid of the drug addicts. You know, I saw them in the street, because I knew, because lust is there in the heart, you know, I was afraid of them. I was like, keep out of these people. And when I became a devotee, I was really afraid of this Mahabhavi philosophy. Prabhupada smashed it so much, and it said that, also Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that if anyone listens to the Mahabhavi philosophy, his life or spiritual life is doomed. It just sounds so horrifying, you know? It's doomed. It sounds like you lost forever. So I was like, I was very scared of this, very scared of, you know, again, you know, the lust in the heart, you know, taking shelter of such philosophy because of strong desire to become one or God, because this is our condition in the material world. We all have this illusion. But we are not Mayavadis in the sense that we don't desire to. It's not our main desire. Like the Mayavadis, they can also practice. They can also worship the deity. They can also perform service for the deity. But in the ultimate end, they want to become one. So, so therefore they are Mayavadis. And we might have that. We might be polluted somehow, you know, influenced by this. But we try to rectify it. We try to understand that actually I am Krishna's servant, and these other things, this is actually pollution. And when we see that this is pollution, it's like you can cry, oh, I'll never become one, or I never can relax and just think, it's all one. It's like a tear falling from your eyes. You didn't get your sense gratification. Because when we realize that actually Krishna consciousness is it's hard work, we have to get rid of this anarthas, we have to accept again and again that actually I am Krishna's servant. But we're so conditioned by this enjoying mood, this tendency to sleep on the lap of Maya, thinking ourselves, you know, one. So it's quite austerity to change this, you know, change this attitude. And even if we are polluted by this, people, we are differently polluted. Someone is more polluted by this. Maybe practice it for many lifetimes to become one with God. And in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that it's very difficult for those who are embodied to go on this path to become one. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that it's very hard, you know, to come to realization, and even when you come to realization, you get problems because you're so accustomed to, you know, to becoming one. But we can see that the process of Krishna consciousness is such a powerful process. It's like it forces one to actually become a devotee. And we have a strong philosophy, we have the good association, and we have, you know, nice service. So we have all opportunity to you know, to become a pure devotee. But we see that it's hard work. It will be a lot of work, and that should not discourage us. Should not you know, then I just give up my duty. I just give up because it's so much hard work. but we are convinced that it's the right path. What else path should one take? Should one again just become interested in all the expansions? So so these Mayavadis, they're in ignorance when they think like this. They also think that that Krishna has a material form, that his body is made of matter. It's said there in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Avyaktam Vyaktimapanam Manyante Manma Buddhaya Param Bhavana Janato Mama Yaiva Anutamam. That persons who are less intelligent think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has now think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was impersonal before and has now assumed this material, human form. But due to their lack of knowledge, they do not understand that my superior nature as the what's it said there?
Supreme Lord of all that being.
Huh?
And the Supreme Lord of all that being.
No, that is Avajananti Manula. Then there is almost the same. But here it's Mama Yaiva Anuttamam. That's Mama. I think it's imperishable and supreme. Yes. And also in the 9th chapter, Krishna says this Avajananti Manula. Manashin Tanam Ashritam. Param, same third line. Param Bhava Majanantam. Same word, another word, same third line. And then
Mama Bhutam.
Mama Bhutam Supreme Lord of all this. So this philosophy and this idea is very much prominent now. So of course in India it's especially prominent. We had in the Oslo temple there was a couple who they called if they could come and just because he was Indian and she was Norwegian, so they wanted to invite all her relatives to come to the temple and just so that they could become more at ease with the Indian way of life. So we said yes, and we cooked some prasadam and they came. And at one point he made a speech. He also and to his it was a nice experience. But he said he invited us to his wedding in India, and he said many people will come. Jagadguru Shankaracharya, he will come. So it was like he couldn't say it more perfectly what we have read in Srila Prabhupada's book. Jagadguru Shankaracharya. Like we know that the Mayavada philosophy, comes from Shankaracharya, who preached the Mayavada philosophy, and they, think themselves God. So they call themselves Jagat Guru. Think I'm liberated. Oh, I'm Jagat Guru. Yeah, okay. So you could see how he was influenced by this. So it's very stupid. It's very stupid to think yourself God. It's so stupid. Yeah, I mean it's the most stupid thing. But when one is in illusion, and God disappears, you're just covered by Maya and you're covered by ignorance, and then one can think like that. I think it's might be reasonable. I might be the Guru. So therefore, we have a great opportunity to be contamination, especially the process Srila Prabhupada has given makes us able to become purified from this idea of becoming one in all respects. And we can gradually realize that. Maybe in the beginning we don't maybe think, but I don't want to become one. I don't have this delusion. But then you're not a conditioned soul, because it says here that's when our conditional life begins, when we endeavor to become one with the Supreme. So, but in the process of devotional service, we realize how this tendency to become one, and then it's just Maya telling you, now you're one, now you can relax. It's like you want to relax and then, it's all good. I don't have to. Actually, I think I don't have to follow etiquette instructions like that. So, thank you very much for your patience. If there are any questions or comments.
I'm inspired to know my fellow relationship with the Norwegians, to know it even better now. I was also thinking yesterday how Norwegians, they're more refined. I mean, the real difference between Norwegians and Danes is that, we don't give it a damn. So we're very little refined Danes, as, in general. Very little refined, very gross. But Norwegians, they're really trying to be one. in the sense that they're endeavoring to be, to be the ideal person, and Danes, they couldn't care less. But they try also to become one, because they try to be the enjoyer, and that's also another aspect of trying to endeavor to be one, is that you can do anything you want, you can eat anything you want, drink anything you can enjoy like you want, because you think you can actually put yourself in the shoes of God. And I don't know, from my own perspective, I see that it's very easy, for this reason, it's very easy to know when I'm in Maya. and has always been.
You cross clarification.
Yes, it's so easy. It's just like opening a book. But the other one is more difficult to analyze, because it's more subtle. And it's clean, it's more sophisticated. You feel better than others. You can see the Danes, they're like pigs. But then Norwegians, they have a problem when they meet a devotee, a Danish devotee on the street, because he's more intelligent than them. How is this pig speaking philosophy to me and I don't understand? Then they have a problem. So thank you for that.
You said that the Mayavadis, like, they don't want to follow any rules or regulations. You rounded off with saying that. That's